I'm sitting here with the author of The Little Town Mouse, published 2 weeks ago. Hi Lorraine, great to see you again.
Hello.
Now, this is your latest novel. You got the idea when you were quite little, and it's been churning around in your brain for a few years.
Yeah, that's right. I started it a good 6 years ago, but and then I shelved it, and I didn't even have a title for it or anything. And I put it away, got it out, put it away again, and eventually I decided on a title for it, which is a similar title to a book my dad once bought me when I was a little girl. It tells a story. It's set in the early 19th century, and it tells the story of a little girl leaving the city and going to live in the country.
It's a historical.
It's historical, yes.
Yeah.
The times are hard in the city, and they're fleeing the threat of the workhouse or the poorhouse, and trying to find a better life. So she goes with her father, and they hit the road, and on the road they meet the Romany people who help them.
So it's got quite a bit of action in it as you go through it. So the original idea was that you wanted to show the differences between town and country life, I suppose.
In a way, yeah.
Between the but set in what time period are we talking?
Around about the early 19th century.
So you'd have had to do a lot of research.
Yes, I have. Yes.
To know what you would do.
Particularly about the Romany people at that time.
Yeah, because obviously they were very different then to what they are now. And I've got to ask you, how does it feel when you're holding your own book in your hands?
Oh, it feels great. I'm really pleased. I'm glad that I've got something to leave behind for my grandchildren and something for my family to be proud of.
Yeah, it's a very tangible thing, which is great. Have you got anything else in the pipeline?
Well, I'm writing another novel right now. It's historical again. However, I don't know whether I'm going to finish it or... I really can't say yet, 'cause it's in its infancy right now. So I don't know whether I'm ever going to...
So when you start, you don't actually have a whole book in mind.
No.
It just comes to you as you go along. The original ideas, where do you get them from?
I don't know, they just sort of come to me. I might see something on the television and I'll think, well, I could work around that sort of.
So it can be anything.
Any little thing, a word, a feeling, and then it'll just come to me.
It must have been such a relief when you, after 6 years, managed to finish this book.
Well, I wasn't really doing it for 6 years. I was doing my other 2 books in between. I put it aside and left it for quite a while, but I picked it up again about 8 months ago, and I was working on it then, and so really it's only took about a year.
You told me once that you used to do a lot of writing in the early hours of the morning.
I still do.
You're still...
Oh yeah, I'm often up at 4 in the morning writing away and Pete, my husband, saying, are you coming to blooming bed? Are you getting into bed? Because now I've got my laptop at the side of my bed, so that if I think of anything I can...
You can get on and put it down.
Rather than scribble it down on paper, which I can't read the next day anyway. So I can go straight onto my laptop, and he says, are you getting into this blooming bed? I certainly ignore him and carry on with what I'm doing.
Yeah. Is it easier to put your ideas on paper at that time, perhaps when there's nobody around? And
No, not really, because at that time I can't read my own writing the next morning because I'm in such a rush to do it. And I'd sooner just sit and settle down on my computer and think my idea what I've had in my mind and just do it.
But you don't spend like 9 to 5 writing your stories.
No.
It's as
Just a
and when.
snatched hour here and there. And like I say, when I've got an idea.
And I know you're quite crafty, like me.
I like my knitting and my crocheting.
And recently having done an amazing loom dress.
Oh, my loom band dress. Oh, my God. I don't know what I'm going to do with it because it won't fit me. And I really don't know what I'm going to do with that one.
Have you got any idea how many loom bands it took to make it?
Oh, no, I haven't. There was 150 what you call fish tails, the big long tails.
Yes.
And I'm not very good at maths, but on each fish tail there will have been about 320 loom bands.
But I'm sure somebody will now work that out. Yeah. So, and that took you quite a lot of time. So, was the writing put on hold then, or did you also pick it up in between?
I did little bits of everything because I find that if I do the same thing all the time, I become totally obsessed and nothing else matters, and it's not healthy.
So you decide to...
I do little bits of everything.
And
with my hobbies, and I never get my house cleaned up. I leave that to Pete. I must admit.
All right. Well, if you'd like to read us a little bit of your book.
I'll read you the opening chapter, is that all right?
Yep, that's fine.
Chapter 1, Nancy. It was a chilly morning down Florence Street. The grey sky cast a desolate shadow over the tenement blocks. A little girl walked by her father's side, trying hard to keep in step with his long legs. Nancy was 6 years old, but she wore the look of someone much older. Her long tangled hair hung matted around her tiny face. Wiping away a solitary tear that had fallen down her pale cheeks, she quickly turned her head towards the sky and prayed that the rain would stay in the clouds. She trembled. Her thin calico dress did little to keep out the cold, and her tummy grumbled. She could ignore the gnawing hunger pains, for they were quite familiar to her, but she wasn't used to the sadness, the despondency which tore at her stomach more than any hunger pain ever had. They neared the end of the street. Isaac Allinson slowed down his pace and turned to face his daughter. "Don't you fret now, my little lass," he said, as though sensing her mood. "This is going to be an adventure, an exciting fresh start for the pair of us." Nancy sniffed loudly. She was not at all sure she welcomed a fresh start. However, she was certain about one thing. She didn't want anything to do with fresh starts that didn't include her granddad. The image of his grey tired face was still fresh in her mind, and his voice echoed in her head. "Now don't you weep, little un," he'd said. "'Tis for the best that you go. You see, Nancy, I'm growing older, and well, I've been needing some peace in me old age. Can't be done with a noisy little vixen like you under my feet." Nancy's bottom lip curved, and her little face crumpled. "Don't you like me any more than Granda?" she asked. "Is that why I have to go? Is that why you don't want me around?" Yeah, that's right, so go on, just clear off and don't you ever come back." "Well, I don't like you any more then," said Nancy, sticking out a pink strawberry too. Without uttering a word, Isaac Allinson laid his hand briefly on his father's shoulders, took his daughter by the hand, and walked away. Their journey had begun. Unshod children played in the gutters and shouted at them as they went by, women, young and old, stood on grey doorsteps, gossiping and nodding their heads towards the little girl and her father. They reached the top of Florence Street. Nancy turned. To see her grandad. He was standing dead in his tracks as though rooted to the spot. There was something about his stoop, his very frailty, which spoke of his sorrow. He stood there wiping his grey cheeks with a dirty rag. "He doesn't really want us to go," muttered Nancy to herself. And she knew then that her grandad really did love her.
Right, now if that has whetted your appetite to read the rest of this book, it's available for order from all good bookshops.
I think so, yeah.
Or via Amazon. It's also on a Kindle.
This is about Kindle version
download
of it,
as well.
On Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, so...
and also the Author's House website.
Right, and you were going to do a website for yourself. Have you got one up and going yet?
No, I'm not very good with technology. I'm going to do one now. We'll do one.
Oh,
with some help from Paula.
Right, so get yourselves down to your bookshop or get online and order this book. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Okay, thanks, Lorraine.
Oh, thank you.